In case you guys missed it, yesterday I released one of my favorite videos I've ever done on my main channel, and what that was is the awards for the movies shot during the Oscars last year. And if you don't know what any of that is, it's all linked in the description. But essentially I gave 10 awards to 10 really great movies made from this contest. But the problem is there was actually 580 movies made. You know, that number is insurmountable. It's a crazy number. It's definitely a world record. Most movies ever shot in a day, especially most movies ever shot in 3 hours. It's just such an accomplishment, and everyone was such a big part of it. So thank you for participating, and we're doing it again this Sunday. So please, if you are at all interested, make a movie instead of watching the Oscars this Sunday. But in this video, I want to highlight 20 more movies. It's just a small sliver of how much greatness there is, but 20 more that I want to shine a light on, just because I can't be more grateful for how many people participated, and I want to try my best to show that gratitude. But first up is I'm Better But I'm Not Good by Evie Lee. And this was a very personal documentary vlog sort of movie, just about their current mental state. And the first half is very durational, holding on shots much longer than you'd expect. And it really successfully conveyed this sort of lonely, isolated feeling. And as it goes on, it hits some funnier scenes, some more lighthearted scenes. Somebody else comes into it and alleviates that loneliness a little. But it just was very successful in communicating a very specific sort of loneliness and lost feeling. And up next is Merman by Pooter Cakes. This was done by a couple, I believe, and the guy plays this merman who washes up in the woods, and the woman takes him in to take care of him. And it's just so funny. He's so annoying. This merman is such an annoying character, always trying to crack jokes, and she's not having any of it. And you get a little of their real dynamic through this. You could tell she's like smiling through gritted teeth at times. And it was just so fun to watch and so goofy. And then Five Quests by Nitty Producties. These guys are from Europe, and this is like a medieval film where a knight and a goblin set out to do these 5 quests, and you find out various twists along the way regarding the goblin and his family and the goblin race and this and that. But essentially the quests are nonsensical. It's like they have to punch a wall like 5 times, and it's just, yeah, but they do such a good job performing these characters, and they really sell it more than they need to, given how goofy it was. We had a blast watching this. We watched this as a group. Trent, my friend Michael Cernosky, who directed Pig, he watched this movie with us, and some others, and we were just laughing the whole time. It's goofy. I Got a Few Things On by Peter the Cheetah. This one was one of the shorter ones. I think it's less than 20 minutes, maybe like 15 minutes. So I didn't want to consider it for the awards, but it was so well done. There's such a sense of rhythm and pacing and comedy. It's very like goofy train spotting, you know, just very fast-paced narration. And this is happening, and this is happening. It's just about a guy who's making soup for his friend's birthday and waiting for his friend's birthday present to come in the mail. And I just had a blast. I watched this one twice actually because it's just so well made. If you want a quick short watch, this is a good one. And then Comedic Voices by Ben Ball. Since making this, Ben Ball has moved out to LA, and we became good in-person friends, but I had never met him at the time. And I watched this and I cried. This is one of the most emotional films I've watched from the contest. It's about him wrestling with you know, allowing himself to be funny and to have fun. And then there's a side story about like a practical job that he's always on the phone, is eating all of his time. And there's like a relationship dynamic between him and his pet dog, where he's very cold to the dog at first, and you see him warm up. It was just very successfully structured, and you really felt a progression. Ends with a beautiful song cover, and that's where my tears really started rolling. Such a beautiful job, Ben. Pipe Dreams by Zeke's G. This is made in Gary's Mod, and you might not know this about me, but I used to be a huge Gary's Mod head. I watched so many Gary's Mod videos as a kid. I made a bunch on a channel that I haven't shared, I don't think, but Gary's Mod was a huge part of my childhood, and seeing a movie made in Gary's Mod was special. It's just about a guy who has to fix a pipe, but it turns into this stupid long adventure, and the guys are just laughing their way through the whole thing, but it was fun. Narwhals and Mobsters by Daybreak Cinema. This was a fun one too. This is about these people who, I don't know if it's a mob movie, it's called Narwhals and Mobsters, but somebody owes someone money, and it's really smartly made because they're bouncing from location to location and filming scenes while they're driving. Yeah, not like holding the camera, but like, you know, they're doing scenes as they move from location. So it really gave the movie a big sort of scale to it. You know, you got a sense of scale and place and a lot of different places and different characters at each of those places. So it was a smartly structured way to do a movie, maybe something to consider if you're gonna do it this year. Cody Clark is a great filmmaker friend of mine, and he participated and made his movie Oscars. And this was so fun to see because he got like 20 or 30 people together in New York and had this little theater venue he filmed in. And it's about a guy who mysteriously invites all these people to partake in this award show, and no one knows who invited them. And it's like awards for their like day-to-day life, like funniest smile or something like that, or best smile, and they're all trying to figure out who invited them and what this thing is. And it was just a lot of fun to watch. It's shot in black and white, looks really nice. Up next is another movie called Oscars by Syrian Willems, another filmmaker who's working on a feature film. Last I talked to him. But Oscars by him is like a 30-40 minute one shot, like one take of this woman who has a big fallout with a partner of hers, and then something supernatural happens and things shift and change. And it was very simple but very well done and very well accomplished, and it looked great. And yeah, that was a fun one to watch. What Am I Doing With My Life by Your Pal. This one's super minimalist. It's just a dash cam and sometimes a face cam of a woman driving and monologuing about what they're doing with their life. It was very impactful. It calls into question these like feelings of being lost, these feelings of doubting your purpose or wondering if you even have a purpose. And the whole time you're wondering what this thing they do is. And that was very, very emotional for me, and almost very meditative too, because it is very slow. The Legend of Moby Rubber Duck by Rye Brad. This one I gotta highlight simply because it was all shot in a bathroom. I was laughing the whole time because I'm like, they shot this entire thing in their tiny little bathroom. And that was so funny to see. And it's about, I don't know what it's about. It's about pirates or a duck, or it's a strange movie, but it was all shot in a bathroom. Mantiac by Lobar is a sort of mockumentary about the school project gone wrong, where these two hackers are trying to show how you could hack into the school security system, and then they stumble on some information they shouldn't have, and that twist is very silly and strange, but there's some very good naturalistic moments. It has a good vibe to it. Do You Ever Want to Not Be a Person Anymore by Alice Langlois is a really beautiful sort of poetic piece. It involves a phone call with a partner where they're talking for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and she's in like a animal mask. She makes these handmade masks, and it feels very poetic. I think that's a good word for it. Some really lovely music she made underneath, and eventually it kind of turns into just a musical visual piece. But that was really special as well. You've Got Us by Fireplace. Fireplace is a really great small YouTube channel that I talked to first years and years ago when we were posting on the same subreddits. And they did one where it's this adventure of these three guys that I think they're all brothers at a party, and they're trying to get somewhere, get something done. But it hits all these beats really well, and it felt it's one of the most successfully structured comedies. It's still very goofy and silly, but each new character, each new place feels justified in a way, and it was very well shot and very fun to watch. I got a lot of laughs. Angus and Edward by Maxwell Couture was a Western. It was the only Western, I'm sure there was others, there's so many of these things, but the only Western I watched, and it was so special. It's so beautifully shot and composed. It's about this like sort of nincompoop cowboy Western guy, and then this hard ass, and one of them gets injured and they're stuck out in the wilderness, and the other one debates killing him, and it eventually devolves, and they bring in some like modern day stuff, and you're like, oh, this is silly now. But yeah, it's a silliness that is inherent in a lot of these films. Put Yourself Out There by Day Job Media is a really cool naturalistic film about this first date. This guy and this woman are on this date, and you're trying to figure out what's gonna happen. It's pretty dry the whole time, and it has a big twist ending that I thought was so interesting, so successful and surprising me, and I'm like, oh, that's actually a really interesting way to spin the what otherwise seemed to be very natural. And Bloom by No Spooks, very personal vlog sort of movie about a guy just talking to the camera while he's driving. He's talking about his feeling like he's lost a lot of his friends. And it was one of those ones, much like Ben Ball's or Jennifer Bauman's, that felt incredibly personal from a very personal place. And it hit me really well. He has some conversations with, I think, his parents and this elderly couple he knows. And it just seems to me like he poured his heart into this thing. So thank you for making that one. No Matter What by Matt Hall is this fictional piece about a guy whose girlfriend is moving in with him, and he's all nervous. He's talking to his friend on Zoom about it. And Matt Hall gives one of the best performances of this contest in this movie. He feels like a genuine rom-com lead the whole time. He's charming, he's funny, he's witty, and he's frustrated, he's angry. That classic trope of the guy who's just trying to get his brain together. And there's a lot of great scenes and conversations, and strongly recommend that one. Why Do You Do What You Do by Chief of Bricks. This was about two guys breaking into a house. They break in. While they're like stealing stuff, the homeowner comes home earlier than they expected. They have to kind of take him hostage, and they wind up having this long existential conversation. This was one of those ones that feels like a very successful, more serious narrative. And anyone who did that and took a swing at that gets a lot of credit in my book. Murder on Game Night by the Barclay Five is the last one I'll highlight, and that is a murder mystery. It's very goofy. There's like a chef who's cooking for these people. There is essentially like Glass Onion before Glass Onion. It was very goofy. This well-off aristocrat guy invites his friends over, and people start dying one by one. And we had a blast. And I said a blast so many times, I got so many comments, but I think a blast just describes it, because it's such a lightning in a bottle, energy in a moment sort of contest, and you just have fun watching these things. You're not taking them too seriously. You're not going to nitpick them. You're not going to see a cinema sins on any of these movies. It's very not serious, very not polished and perfect, and that's what makes them so special. And you know, watching these things, in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, oh my God, there's 500 of these. You know, like I watched one, sit down, every single one I watched, I gave my full attention to. I wasn't on my phone, I wasn't on my laptop. I just sat, and if I started one, I had a rule, I had to finish it. So I clicked one randomly from the playlist, and I would have to finish it. And I, without fail, I always was kind of in awe. I'm like, how beautiful is this? These people made this thing in one night, and it's like a full movie worthy of discussion. I mean, look at those 20 movies. I remember details about all of them, and I watched them all throughout the last year. You know, they sit with you like an actual movie, because they are actual movies. And it's amazing. It's amazing that you can make something that sits with people. And Lord knows a lot of these stuck with me more than some of the mediocre stuff I've seen that is actually pumped out of a budgeted system. You know, a lot of these are some of my favorite movies of last year, some of my favorite movie watching experiences of last year. And like I said, the comedies are always making me laugh. The personal stuff takes me aback, because I think it's so bold to be personal within this framework. And everything else in between, it was so beautiful to see. And I wish I could devote my full time to this. This is definitely not the money maker on my channel. I definitely lose money like buying all the props and stuff, but it's something that my passion is behind, and I love to do this, and I look forward to doing it every year. As long as it's interesting, as long as it's exciting, I just think it's a great framework for lighting a fire under people's butts to show them they can make something, getting that ball rolling for people, or just straight up having people make something worthy of discussion in and of itself in this contest. And Yeah, that's all I really have to say. I said a lot in the main video. I could ramble forever here. But thank you so much to everyone who participated. We're doing it again. Please partake. It's fun. It's goofy. I never want it to be about the awards, and I'm learning that I'm going to get a lot of submissions, so I'm not going to be able to get through all of them, and that's okay. It's not about that. It's about just having fun. It's one night and a week of editing. If you could give that to this movie, I think you'll have a great time and you'll have something fun to watch with your friends. So give it a shot if it interests you at all. If you did it last year and you want to do it again, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the lessons people learned and the new things they try if they did do one last year. But yeah, thank you so much for making these things. Thanks for bearing with me as I slowly worked through the movies and got enough to give awards to. It definitely took way longer than I thought, and I've now accepted that I think this will have to be the structure. I think I'll have to do the whole year and just watch them, drip feed them, and at the end of the year, right before the next contest starts, I'll have to announce the winners. I think it works. It builds up hype really well. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I've ended this video 5 times now, so I'll actually end it now. I love movies. I love you guys. Have a nice day.